we're looking at something, well, it's a really unusual mix of things. We've got media, technology, and this very specific political doctrine all coming together.
It really is. We're looking at a brand new media venture that's tied directly to the prosperity Commonwealth.
Right, and for anyone who might be catching up, the prosperity Commonwealth is that uh, big picture political structure, and Shiloh is its physical location, its community.
Exactly.
And our source of material today is the official launch announcement for their new communications division. It's called Frontier Media Notebook Studios.
And our goal here is super specific. We're not really here to get into the politics of Shiloh itself, but more the mechanism they're building.
The how.
The how. We want to understand the very precise role this new media division is meant to play in what they're calling the unfolding renaissance of Shiloh. And specifically, we're digging into the methodology they use. It's unique.
That's the hook, isn't it? It's not just about reporting news. The core job here is to interpret their own founding texts using a very specific piece of tech.
Yeah, it's wild. It basically turns their foundational documents from, a static historical record into an active, living tool for refining their own doctrine.
It's like having a constitution that's constantly under review by its own internal publisher. So let's unpack this.
Okay.
Let's start with the players involved. The announcement names Frontier Media as a new division of the Freedom Lodge's media arm.
And we should probably clarify what the Freedom Lodge is. That's the parent organization, the political action group that's really driving this whole Commonwealth project.
Which tells you right off the bat this isn't an external observer.
Not even close. It's an official, totally integrated branch of the larger structure.
So it's institutional self-narration.
That's the perfect phrase for it. And Frontier Media's overall goal is massive. They say they want to, and I'm quoting here, broadcast the Renaissance, tell the story of Shiloh, and capture the voice of the Commonwealth.
So it's about clarity, inquiry, cultural illumination. They are actively building the public story of their own growth.
Right. But then you zoom in, and within that huge mission, you find this tiny, hyper-focused unit, Notebook Studios.
The sources call it a unique chamber within Frontier Media.
And it has just one job, one essential task.
To produce deep dive reports on the foundational documents. We're talking charters, theological texts, administrative frameworks, all of it.
This is what gives it so much weight. It's not just, summarizing press releases. It's aiming to illuminate the heart and meaning of our founding documents.
And here's the line that really stood out to me. To serve as a mirror that clarifies the vision we are building.
Right. It's basically an internal quality control department, but one that publishes its findings for everyone to see.
Okay, so if it's a mirror, what is it reflecting? What is this unit actually looking at?
Well, the list of topics tells you everything about the structure of the entire movement.
It's not daily politics.
No, it's the big pillars: governance, faith, community building, sovereignty, and the overall, the philosophical architecture of the whole thing.
These are the ideological foundation blocks.
Absolutely. And the goal isn't just to present the information. It's designed to offer what they call a neutral, inquisitive perspective.
But it's also proactive. It's supposed to provide constructive insight into how the Commonwealth is developing. They want to optimize the project.
That creates a pretty deep tension, doesn't it?
How so?
Well, they're trying to be the chronicler, the PR firm, and the internal critic all at the same time.
Right. They promise thoughtful critique where needed, but then they add that little qualifier.
That the critique must always be in service to the great work.
So criticism is only allowed if it helps them reach their predefined goals. It's about making the engine run better, not questioning if the engine should exist.
Exactly. But hold on, because the how is where this whole thing just pivots into something else entirely.
The technology.
The technology. This is what makes it so different.
The announcement has this one. It's astonishing methodological detail. Every single report from Notebook Studios is produced through the lens of Google Notebook LM.
Yeah. They've put an advanced AI tool right at the heart of their philosophical interpretation.
So for anyone listening, let's be really clear about what Notebook LM is. It's a large language model, a type of generative AI.
But it's not like a general-purpose AI. Its main function is to be trained only on a specific set of documents you give it. In this case, all of Shiloh's foundational texts. It doesn't browse the internet. It just reads their doctrine over and over.
So the AI isn't being used to summarize the news. It's being used to find connections and nuances inside their own sacred and governing texts.
Precisely. And what they claim this does is it forms an AI-assisted observer's voice that reflects on everything. on the human writers, on the texts themselves.
It's just the whole thing from just publishing to institutional self-reflection with machine as the mediator,
And they say the advantage is that the AI reports from just outside the circle,
giving them a vantage point that humans might miss, an attempt at an objective, non-biased view of their own work, using the AI as this kind of neutral scholar.
which is a fascinating claim. But you have to pause and think about that. I mean, can you really have objectivity when the machine is only trained on your documents?
Right. The bias is baked into the source material.
Of course. If the AI is only fluent in the language of Shiloh, it can find contradictions within those texts, sure, but it can't critique the philosophical assumptions that the texts are built on in the first place.
So it's less of an objective outsider and more like the ultimate super dedicated internal auditor.
That's it.
It can hold up a mirror and say, hey, this part about governance seems to contradict this other part on sovereignty based on the rules you wrote.
Exactly. And the announcement really leans into this. It positions Notebook Studios as a companion to our builders, a scholar to our citizens, and a voice of clarity.
The whole operation depends on this belief that an AI observer can provide continuous, useful refinement.
Which brings up a huge question. What does it even mean for a foundational doctrine? Something usually seen as sacred or static to constantly interpreted and, maybe even nudged in new directions by a non-human observer.
That potential for constant evolution.
Yeah.
It's revolutionary. You're talking about a governing philosophy that's designed to be alive, not set in stone.
With an AI making sure it evolves coherently.
Let's shift gears a bit. What's the practical output here? What can people actually see and read?
Okay, so the announcement points to the new notebook library on the Freedom Lodge website. This is where the public gets to interact with all this.
And it's structured in 3 layers, which I think is pretty smart.
Very. It's designed for transparency. So layer 1 is blog summaries.
The appetizers. Easy to digest.
Layer 2, you get the source material overviews. This is them showing their work, the actual raw foundational documents from Shiloh that the analysis is based on.
And then layer 3 is the main course, the Notebook Studios special reports.
Which are described as 10 to 13-minute podcast-style deep dives, a bit like what we're doing right now.
Right. And these reports treat the foundational texts like active legal or philosophical documents, not just historical artifacts.
This whole structure, it just confirms that Notebook Studios is an institutional feedback loop. It's how they become what they claim to be. The observer, the interpreter, and the herald of their own story. They're standardizing the interpretation.
And you really get a sense of the gravity of this whole thing from the closing remarks in the source.
They're from someone named Bradicius G., who's listed as the chief steward and harbinger.
What does he say?
He says they broadcast not just what they build, but why they build it. The philosophy. And he makes it clear this isn't just for internal memos. He says they speak not just to today, but to the generations who will inherit this land.
Wow. So it's fundamentally a mechanism for managing their own philosophical legacy.
Exactly.
That focus on future generations. It really highlights the dual audience, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's for the public who need to understand what's going on, but it's also for the founders themselves who need that constant feedback to optimize things.
And let's circle back to that idea of critique for a second. The reports are designed to offer thoughtful critique where needed.
But always in service to the goal. Always. You just have to wonder how much real structural criticism can happen when the objective is always optimization within the system.
Yeah, it's a closed loop in that sense.
So if we connect this to the bigger picture, the sheer complexity and the money and the tech they're pouring into this media arm, it signals something big.
It's a declaration. They're saying that to build Shiloh, you don't just need resources and rules. You need wisdom, clarity, and truth, and that has to be documented and verified constantly.
They're putting the why on the same level as the what.
And the source ends with this almost poetic line. Shiloh rises, the Commonwealth awakens. And now, through Notebook Studios, the Renaissance broadcasts its own reflection.
It's this idea that the project is now self-aware enough to observe and broadcast its own creation story in real time.
So to kind of wrap this up for you, what we're seeing with Notebook Studios is a deeply integrated, technologically advanced effort to manage the philosophical DNA of a new society.
And it does that through continuous AI-assisted interpretation of its own core beliefs. This isn't media as we know it. It's a foundational tool designed for technocratic evolution and, I guess, doctrinal consistency over time.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
So what does this all mean for you listening? Whether you're interested in political theory or just the future of technology, It's a really compelling case study. You've got an organization that is formalizing how its own core beliefs are interpreted.
And it's using a very powerful machine learning tool, Google Notebook LM, to create what it sees as a neutral, refining voice. It's an attempt to automate institutional self-awareness.
Which leads to a final, pretty provocative thought for you to take away.
Go for it.
Well, if this AI-assisted observer is designed to reflect on the work from just outside the circle, what happens when that non-human observer, after being trained on all the foundational rules, starts to point out new paths for the Commonwealth?
For paths the human builders never even considered.
Exactly. The AI is positioned as the objective scholar, and the founders are the builders. How long is it until the student starts rewriting the teacher's lesson plan? How long until it starts pushing the project to evolve beyond what its human architects ever imagined?